magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Molly Mall. I let my tape rock till my tape rock. Smoking weed and bamboo.
All right, welcome everyone to the Empire. I got to say that opening picture is one of my favorite ones of Matt with the index finger raised, and he's just got something to say there. So
he's saying Mooney's number one. Mooney's number one.
I don't think I've ever seen Vaccaro so happy as in that picture. I don't think I've ever seen a smile.
Yeah, I don't know how somebody screen grabbed that, but that's a rare occurrence getting me like that.
Man, I had to look pretty hard for that one. So
dug deep.
All right. Well, we hope you all survived out there. Everybody out there survived the Bimageddon, and I don't know what's going on with my picture, but
you erased yourself, Dan.
Yeah.
You took stuff out of the mix.
But anyway,
and there were three.
Yeah. So if you're here with us, we take that as proof of life. And this week, we've got Philly and Tampa Bay on bye. And if you care about the Browns or Jets being on bye, I'll be the first to offer you condolences and a heartfelt better luck next year. So hopefully, though, you're polishing up your roster for a championship run, and we're here to help you out. So, Matt, get us started.
Yeah, I mean, let's go. Let's start with the good things first, because there's a very sad funeral for a friend we'll have to hit. But Joe Flacco, besides Jamar Chase getting targeted 20-plus times a game, what he's done for the run game in Cincinnati the last couple of weeks. I mean, Chase Brown is averaging like 7 yards a carry. Samaje Perine is running like the Nigerian nightmare out there. I mean, I'm watching this. I'm like, I can't believe how good this guy looks. So, I mean, that was one of my takeaways. Oh, first off, I forgot. I wanted to start off with, let's give a shout out to Chris and Nelson. We got 2 top 4 leaders in the prime time after 8 weeks. That's not nothing. So good job by you guys.
How much do we win?
Continued success. Well, no, you gotta recognize it. It's not like week 4. The other quick little, I'm going to do a couple of quick little bullet points. Drake Maye is quarterback 2 by less than 6.5 points behind Mahomes. He's attempted 56 less passes so far this season. And it's just the efficiency. I know I've spoken with Nelson over the phone about this, and he's continuing
more
to say
secret phone calls? More private phone calls between you guys? Nobody calls me in this chat. I don't understand. None of you like me? Call me privately? It's always just you guys calling each other? I don't understand.
It's these 2 on the bottom.
All right, go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
They're in cahoots.
And, he's probably the best deep ball thrower. I mean, I think Josh Allen is up there, but just the precision that he is connecting on. I mean, he's not throwing for 350 yards a week. He's not attempting over 30 passes a week. And it's like somebody new every week. Like Mac Hollins led them in receptions. Shout out to Keyshawn Boutte. After we mentioned that he did nothing to everybody that picked him up, in the last 4 weeks, I think he has 3 touchdowns on like 12 targets. And he always seems to make one big play for them every week. Boswell, the kicker for the Steelers, outscored CMC and Bijan combined and comfortably. That was pretty wild.
Don't make me get on my love of kicker talk. I know I get killed all the time when I talk.
I want to talk about kickers, though.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, man. Boswell needs to be mentioned in the same breath as Aubrey. Okay, so for all you people, if you have those 2 kickers,
I would put the Hawaiian Aubrey in there as well.
Fairbairn's a good kicker as well.
Every 100% is up there.
Weapons. They're just weapons.
Again, this Patriot offense, it's diversified. I mean, Diggs is probably their best receiver at this point, but they just spread it around. I will stand by this. I didn't get to touch on it last week because we had to do the Mooney London splits. But Stevenson still sucks. Outside of the Miami game and the Tennessee game, he still sucks. Will Trevion offer a new hope? I don't know. I'm hoping because with Scatterboo going down, that's the funeral for a friend. He masked some bad picks that I had. And, when you lose that, he wasn't an RB like JT or CMC, Bijan, but he was a guy that would give you 10 points at least, possible 20. If you got a couple of touchdowns, that's going to be a hurdle I don't know if I can overcome.
Who's that, Scatterbo, you saying?
Yes, Scatterbo.
Scatterbo was RB9. I was shocked to see this. After 8 weeks, RB9 in NFFC scoring, which blew my mind this morning when I looked at it. So,
and let's give a shout out to Dom of the Philadelphia Eagles, the only security guard we know by name. He showed up later on that day at the hospital and dropped off pizza and cheesesteaks for Scatterbo. I mean, Jackson
huge
Dart.
fantasy nugget. Yes.
He calls them snacks.
Absolutely.
Snacks, yeah. I mean, Jackson Dart's face.
Cheesesteaks.
Yeah. Security guard number 1 in our security guard rankings this week. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll leave it at that for now, and then next time around, I'll touch on some rookie running backs that, maybe can finally do something.
All right. Sounds good. Nelson, what you got?
I feel like shitting on some players, so we're going to talk about
there's my bad mood, Nelson.
Yeah,
There you go.
Caleb Williams sucks.
Who?
Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good quarterback.
I agree.
I'm being a bit dramatic, but I just don't think that. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago on the show where I was talking to you guys about the Ben Johnson offense needs a guy like Goff, because love or hate him, Goff is just like, he's got it right. He's a smart quarterback, gets the ball out, sees the field well, and I feel like with that Bears offense with Caleb, he drops back, and it's a timing rhythm type of offense, and like there's no rhythm to it. Like he drops back and he's sitting there and he's patting the football and he's looking, and like he's not getting the ball out. Then he scrambles. He's not looking upfield. To me, it just doesn't seem like he's in his second year. He's got time to change these things around, but these are things that you were hoping to see some growth out of him. And when we were all excited, preseason with him, he's got the weapons, he's got Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams was kind of like that, one of those guys, right? The second year quarterback that, potentially could take a huge step forward and everything. So I just think outside of Odunze, he's just not capable of supporting multiple receivers. They're running the ball, and I think when you see Swift where they're just running him up the middle near the goal line like constantly, and Monangai, like that tells me that Ben Johnson has no confidence in running a play action with Caleb, and that he's going to make the right decision. They just don't want to turn the ball over.
I'll say this real quick as a notorious Caleb hater. I would give him this year to finish out, let the Ben Johnson do his thing. I'm not a fan, but even Jared Goff, the first year with Johnson, he struggled. I mean, last year was just horrible coaching. Again, not a fan. I agree with everything Nelson's saying, but I'll put a little hope out there for him.
Yeah. The football guy in me agrees with you, Matt. The fantasy guy with me doesn't give a shit. Like the fantasy guy in me is like, I can't keep rolling this dude out there. He's got a prime matchup, and I know like Baltimore's defense coming off the bye. I thought that their defense might look a little bit better than what they have shown, but it's still a bad defense that's been terrible, and you can't get it done. Like
he's killing the whole offense. I mean,
it wasn't the yards were there, Dan, but like I think he threw for like 275, maybe 265.
Well, he threw for Nelson. Yeah, he threw for 285, but like late in the fourth quarter, he went from like 175 to 285 real fast at the end.
Right.
That catch by me,
so it was kind of like a fake 285, which helped. And then getting it in at the 1 yard line with 4 downs at the end of the game to get him over 20 fantasy points.
But they were still the underdog in that game, despite even when Lamar was.
Regardless of that.
I'm saying that was a life or death game for the Ravens. That was their season. And they are getting healthier on defense. They got Wiggins back, a couple other guys. So
the thing with Caleb with me is at USC, he was glorified because He was behind a great offensive line with unbelievable weapons. He was able to drop back, spend 10 seconds back there. You remember all the highlights, him running around back there, scrambling, then hitting somebody wide open. That can't happen in the NFL right now. So now he's got to actually use his talent and his brains, and it's becoming a little bit of a mess here for him. The college game is a lot different than the NFL, he's finding out, and even Ben Johnson can't get him over the hurdle here. So that's tough.
It makes you wonder, if the agent was in there, how would this offense be performing? Was Ben Johnson crazy like a fox giving him that 2-year, $10 million deal? I
saw a couple people pick up Bagent for a couple bucks.
People are going to laugh at you for that, but that's not insane. We even said it in the preseason.
No. I don't think they're ever going to bench him.
No,
they can't bench him.
They can't.
They can't bench him. But I'll say this, Nelson, on the last thing with him is you look up, and then who are they playing this week? The Bengals here in week 9. And you might be at that point right now where you're like, I want to get out of the Caleb business. I don't want to play him no more. He's frustrating. He's going backwards. And now you look up and the schedule, the total is 53 points. You just saw the Jets drop a 40 on Cincinnati. What are you going to do as a Caleb owner, Nelson? You're going to go right back to the well this week unless you got like a Caleb Mahomes team or a Caleb Allen or, something like that.
I think I'm going to play Daniel Jones. So I don't have much Caleb.
I don't either.
Where I do have him, I have Daniel Jones. And that's been kind of I've given up points. I've left Daniel Jones on the bench a couple of times.
I'm with you.
I have a ton of Daniel Jones. So to diversify on Sunday, I'm looking at my lineups and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to play Caleb against Baltimore over, Danny Dimes, against Tennessee, even though, 9 out of 10 times I should be going Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
But I think this week I've given up. Even though that Cincinnati matchup is great, I'm just going to start going with Danny Dimes.
So you're going Danny Dimes in Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh's been a shit defense, so let's not, cover that up. You're going Danny Dimes and the consistency of him, and he's been QB6 on the year, and he's been absolutely great week after week. On the road, barring bad weather, you're going Dimes over Caleb Williams for the matchup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we say that we can't, they're not going to bench Caleb Williams, but I mean, soft benching is all the rage. I mean, what if he develops a sprained ankle or something like that? Has to be, held out for a couple weeks.
He becomes the new J.J. McCarthy.
Exactly. Yeah, or Penix or Bryce Young or, pick your quarterback there.
That's a good comp you had there, Chris, because that really is tough. Between, I don't want to start Caleb, but I mean against the Bengals, it's tough to pass.
I'm in the same situation as Nelson. I have a Caleb and Danny Dimes team, and for the most part, I've been rotating them. But lately, the last 3 weeks, I've been going with Caleb, and it's been letting me down just based on the matchups. And this week again, it's the same situation. I'm looking this morning, and I'm like, oh man, how do I sit Caleb now? But we'll see. What else you got, Nelson? Anything?
The other thing probably that was noticeable to me was that Dak is not matchup proof.
Oh, yeah. Great observation.
I was hoping that was the case because I have a lot of Dak teams, and I said to myself, all right, you know what? I'm gonna play Dak here, and if he gets it done, there is no more questioning.
Yeah,
who I start or sit. Dak's in there, locked in for the rest of the season. But yeah, that game, man, he's got all his weapons, all the guys are there, healthy. I knew that the Broncos were gonna put points on the board against Dallas. He was gonna have to, throw, and he just, I don't know.
So, all right, I don't know how you looked at this, Nelson. I watched every play of that game. I'm obviously fully invested in Dak. I had the situation, we talked about it last week on the show, all my Dak teams are backed up by either Herbert or Daniel Jones. I decided to push all my chips to the middle of the table. I said Dak is matchup proof, okay? I'm all in on the Cowboy offense, and Dak, he's a top 3 fantasy quarterback, and I took it. I took it hard this past week with Herbert and Jones going over 30 fantasy points, Dak laying an egg. But this Cowboy offense moved the ball in that game. And Surtain goes down early in the game, and I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. It frees up Lamb, Pickens, whoever he was trying to cover, okay? Somehow at the end of the game, Pickens and Lamb both come out with 15 fantasy points. Ferguson's the guy that was one of the shocking things of the day in a week 8 that I completely hated, sidebar, and a lot of surprising performances. At the top of that list was Ferguson dropping a bagel. You would think all day long with Surtain on one of these guys that Ferguson would be heavily targeted over the middle. He gets a donut, but they moved the ball that day. A lot of times he threw 2 red zone picks that were terrible. He got them down there. Both wide receivers got out of the day with decent games, okay? But it just fizzled out. And he could have easily had a 25-point performance in that game. Surtain never came out after halftime, and yet Dak laid an egg. So now, to your observation, maybe he isn't matchup proof. I'm still going to say that each week he's going to be a locked-in starter for me. It was just one of those weird weeks, and he was part of it.
I agree with you, Chris, real quick. I mean, I'm sorry, Dan. Just like Dak, Mahomes, and even Drake May now, because I started Daniel Jones over Drake May in a few leagues. I have a lot of both. And I think that those 3 still there. Apologies to my boy J.A. in our main event. I went Dak. He had Love in earlier. I put Dak in, and we went that route, and it cost us
I would have went Dak over Love, though, regardless.
Yeah,
that was your situation. But
I
Dak
did that
over
exact
Herbert.
same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts me. I actually split Dak over Herbert was a tough decision for me, and I should have went Herbert at home just because Herbert's a top 5 quarterback too, fantasy-wise.
Madison Beer effect.
Looking forward, though, I mean, you've got, really only one tough game for Dak left. I mean, there's a couple that are kind of tough. He's got Philadelphia, but KC, that's the one where I might be tempted to sit Dak if I have a really, really good option. But otherwise, it's Arizona at Vegas, Philadelphia at home, KC at home, at Detroit, Minnesota at home,
Wheels
Chargers
up
at home. And
the KC one, they're a tough defense, Dan, with Spagnuolo, and he'll always come up with a plan. But guess what? Kansas City's going to score at will. That's a dream for me as a Dak owner. I want Kansas City Mahomes going up and down the field. And speaking of matchup-proof quarterbacks, I was scratching my head last night with Mahomes with a 0 at halftime. Then he comes out and he goes all-world Mahomes and drops 31 fantasy points in the second half. I was hoping that Dak would do that, but it just goes to show you some games and some weeks, you got to hold your breath. Nothing's given here in fantasy. You just might wind up in a weird situation. Nobody thought Mahomes could drop a 0.5, but sometimes the clock keeps moving. You get an interception. The running backs run it in instead of the fantasy points for a quarterback passing it in. And it's a a negative game script. So, but Mahomes snuck it out. Dak obviously did it. But
and
no
Rashid was
for me at all.
inches from a 30 burger.
Yeah.
What? There are a lot of rookie running backs, and I think somebody else was going to talk about this, but I mean, I think Travion Henderson and R.J. Harvey. We're still looking at Henderson being, he got nothing in the passing game. He certainly looked better on the ground. Harvey, obviously, excuse me, looked great, but on like 28% snaps, which it means that you're still kind of going to be putting him on there only in desperation, or at least I am. I mean, I don't feel comfortable starting Harvey. If I'm in a jam, I'm going to start him, but if I'm not, I'm probably going to leave him on the bench. What do you guys think about that? And I think, like Woody Marks has moved in front of him. Kyle Monangai is probably at least equal to those guys, if not better. I mean, the usage he's getting in Chicago, the only thing holding him back is Caleb Williams. But what are you guys thinking about the rookie running back?
I'll say something real quick with Trevion. The only thing that made me happy this week as somebody that's heavily invested. And I've watched probably more Patriots games in terms of minutes than Bills games this year because I have so much Maye as well. And they ran him to the outside. The first 3 weeks of the season, you had Chase Brown, Henry, and Josh Jacobs rushed for 30 yards or less versus the Browns. This guy ripped off a 27-yarder. He was effective. I was watching, I've been charting the next-gen stats every week. When they barely did use him, they'd run him up the middle, which makes no sense. If you watch his career with Judkins last year, this is a guy that you got to get to the outside. You got to get him in open space. And I still don't get why. I mean, look, it's worked. I mean, Drake Maye has been unbelievable. It's worked. Why are they not getting him in open space in these short little passes? So, that's got to change.
Better times are coming because he fumbled, so that means he's
yes. That's what I took the same thing. And real quick, I agree with you on Harvey. Like, I don't understand. Maybe with the injury, like Chris pointed out, Surtain's out for possibly 6 weeks, and maybe the defense is a little more susceptible. But they have a thunder and lightning combo in that backfield with Dobbins and Harvey. You've seen Harvey do it against the Colts. 40 yards against the Cowboys. This guy is electric in open space. So, I mean, somebody like me is going to need one of these two guys to happen because now I don't have Scatterboo, and that's a major blow.
Harvey, I think, is going to start seeing a little more playing time. I think it was 23% of the snaps for Harvey, which is surprising because he had a 3-touchdown game.
Yeah, what do you have, 6 touches?
It was like if you touch the ball, you're in the end zone. But as for Henderson, you guys could keep praying and hoping for that dream, but you know what? Moral of the story is you're 0 for 8. Okay.
Oh yeah,
it's 8 donuts, and that's it.
Me and Nelson talked about it. We got the L has to be taken. I'm not arguing that, but now I'm looking at where I was able to.
They're just bench stash. He's just a bench stash. That's strictly what he is.
My point was, like somebody like me that was able to play Scatterboo. Now I lost Scatterboo, so I need one of these two to happen. Yeah, is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What about Woody Marks? Seems like he is really starting to be. They're starting to figure out that Chubb just doesn't have it.
They threw the ball.
Yeah. And again, it was a game script thing. It was like, hey, you're if you're behind, then you're gonna need to do that. But also with the 49ers. It wasn't game script anymore. They were running ahead, and they were still using a lot of Marks. So, I was encouraged by the fact that Marks got used in a positive game script as well. I mean, they used still Chubb more than I wish they did, but
Chubb got 17 carries in the game. So
and got how many yards? Like 17?
Yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think they learned anything. I think it's going to continue. It's just going to continue to be game script dependent, and rather than them just saying, you know what, let's mix in Chubb and Marks be the full-time back, basically. Some of these coaching staffs, it is what it is. It's perplexing, but
how funny was it though? Changing. On our OC team, I was like, I'm so happy we got Woody Marks in there. He crushed. And then Harvey puts up like 25 points.
I know.
Yeah.
I think we're top 50 in that team anyway.
I think we hit 49.
Something like that. Anyway, that was a good one. That Texans game was a really weird game. The Texans held the ball for like 99% of the game, it felt like. McCaffrey was another head scratcher. He didn't get on the field. He didn't get that many touches. He had like 3 fantasy points until late in that game, and then he caught 2-3 balls for 40 yards just to save his day with 10 fantasy points. But Stroud spread it around pretty good to all those receivers, all those guys that went to the waiver wire late Saturday night to get some wide receiver help. Okay, if they went to the Texans, they got rewarded with Hutchinson, Higgins, and what do you call it?
No.
The other, and Noel. Yeah.
Yep.
Who would you say out of Higgins and Noel would you rather? I mean, I'd rather have Noel going forward, but who would you guys rather have between the two?
Probably Noel, just because you know that Collins is coming back. So
that's the reason why it's Noel for me. Yeah.
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 All right.
I mean, I prefer Higgins just because I think he's a better player than Noel, and that's just personal opinion. Um, but it was interesting that I expected Noel to play a lot more, and he was mixing in with Barrios in that
Yeah,
game.
Barrios was playing a huge role too. Yeah, you're right.
And it was Jaden Higgins that paced those wide receivers. He was out there basically full time, and all the other guys were rotating in.
I think he's only had 50% the last 2 weeks, though, but I think that's going to rise. He's the Tank Dell replacement, so that's why.
Well, here's the funny thing, Matt. So he had like 50% the last couple of weeks, right, with Kirk out. Last week was 37%. It went lower instead of higher.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but I think he's that guy that, and they don't have time to throw the ball, so I think he.
All right, real quick, we're going to do a break. We'll be right back.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for Fast Draft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on Fast Draft. You just pick any 6 guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. Oh, no. These are regular people grabbing their 6 favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam. The Quick 6 Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at Fast Draft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match, and let's go start drafting faster.
All right, we're back. Chris, what's on your mind?
I got a lot on my mind after that week 8. First off, shout out to Paul Spiteri in our chat. He wants some love for his Homer Broncos quarterback, Bo Nix, who's now a top 5 NFFC quarterback, which shockingly, after sucking for 6 weeks, dropped a 40-something and a 35 the last 2 weeks. And he shoots up the rankings to a fake top 5 NFFC scoring, but he's trash.
a fake top 5.
He's a fake top 5 quarterback. Yeah, you know, it's like one of those, like, you know, if you're a Bo Nix team, you're like 2-6 because you had 2 good weeks and 6 shit weeks, and somehow those 2 weeks were great. So Bo Nix is still trash. Let's get moving here with. I want to talk about, Matt, you always talk about how sometimes we forget about the Thursday night game on this show because it's so back, seems like so long ago.
You can't spell victory without Vidal.
Yeah, so we got to talk about this Chargers offense. They're exciting to watch, but I think as that game progressed, we learned 2 things. Number one, I think we might have a fantasy superstar on our hands here at the tight end position in Oronde Gadsden. He's arrived here. He's 5 for 77 and a touchdown in the first half, but he just looks the part, guys. You know, he took the second half off, sure, but I don't think anybody is going to look at Gadsden as someone that's not a top 6 or 7 fantasy tight end weekly here the rest of the way. Now, I'll say that with one caveat here. They got a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, and there's going to be some weeks where guys take the week off and underperform. That's going to be the frustrating part here, a la Quentin Johnston, who all you Quentin Johnston victory lap owners for the first couple weeks that were wide receiver 1 season. He's arrived. Who's Lad McConkey? We don't even remember him anymore. Quentin Johnston's should have been the 2nd-round pick. He's a superstar. He drops a donut. We haven't heard from him in weeks. And then Kamani Vidal. I mean, my God, another guy that just looks the part here. We get the news, we watch the game, and we see Hampton's up in the skybox with it looks like his leg is up. They have a week 12 bye. It doesn't look like this guy's returning anytime soon. So you could push that probably after week to at least week 13. This is Kamani Vidal's backfield for the next month here at minimum. And for all you guys that dropped a couple, dropped some change on Vidal a couple weeks ago in Fab, I think you got a solid RB2 for the next month that you could plug and play in your lineup. There's a lot of parts here in this Chargers offense, but I want to know real quick what you guys think about what do you do with Quentin Johnston? Quentin Johnson going forward here, is he nothing more than a flex play? Because I look at him now going forward. I have no Johnson shares, but I think he's somewhat. You could look at him as somewhat as like a Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs here. Someone that we were excited about early, but now is he a wide receiver 3 or a flex play each week? There's a real alpha in the offense. He could be the third guy some weeks. He could be the first guy, but he's no longer in the mix for a plug-in, like a set it and forget it type of wide receiver any longer after what we've seen from Oronde Gadsden's emergence.
I saw a text. I really didn't do the research on it, but I don't know if it's true or not. But they were saying that Gadsden is the zone beater and QJ is the man beater. I forget who put it. It was obviously from like Thursday night or Friday, so I don't remember. But I don't know. They just the good thing is if you have Herbert, you just have so many damn weapons, and QJ has to be like a flex option right now at best. I mean, I don't have any QJ. I have Ladd, so I'm hoping Ladd, is the one that comes out.
Well, we obviously feel better about Ladd now going forward as someone that was drafted in the late second, early third. But yeah.
But the weird thing about Ladd was he was getting targets and stuff even when he was shitting the bed. And one thing I have noticed though, he's dropped a lot of passes this week. Even Thursday night, he had one wide open.
I think that one got lost in the lights, honestly, because Ladd McConkey's not taking one off the face.
But even in the bad stretch, he was getting targeted. It was just, hopefully, maybe Keenan's getting taken. His role seems to be getting pushed back a little. I don't know.
I think it's going to definitely come at the expense of Keenan and QJ. Because what they've got with Gadsden is a mismatch, and teams are having a hard time defending him, and that's just what they're going to continue to push until somebody shows them they can stop Gadsden. Because the guy is he's big and he's fast.
Matchup. Yeah, he's a nightmare matchup. It looks like he's a converted wide receiver, so he's got the speed. Someone had mentioned like an AJ Brown comp. Just going out to tight end. That works a lot of the times, and I think we're going to see like a season like a Darren Waller just arriving on the scene back in the day, a Jimmy Graham. Gadsden's going to be that guy that's just a matchup nightmare each week. Herbert loves him, and I wanted to just get in before I forget this last Vidal point about him. His offensive line is getting healthy now. Okay, Joe Alt returned, the kid Pipkins returned. They're getting better on the offensive line, stronger, opening up more holes from him. Haskins got hurt and is a thing of the past. So this is Vidal's backfield, running and receiving. So top 15 RB for me going forward.
Right.
I'm shocked he doesn't get more passes thrown to him because he can really.
He was.
He only had like 1 for 10. I mean, I was happy. I started him and stuff, but I'm waiting for that aspect to grow.
Yeah, Nelson, how do you see this Chargers offense going forward?
I think Gadsden is basically Mooney to QJ's London, where the debate that Matt and I were having last week. I think this is real, where Gadsden is going to be a problem for QJ. I think that Herbert is perfectly fine throwing to, Ladd and Gadsden with those mismatches in middle of the field and Keenan Allen. And with the offensive line's got to get healthy, because if it gets healthy and he's got time to throw, I think that's QJ's bread and butter, right? So I think you need time for the play to develop and for him to run his route. And you're going to hit him deep on some of those deep posts and 9 routes. So that's kind of how I see it. Plus, Johnson is, dealing with an injury because he had missed week 6, came back last week, didn't have a great game, puts up a dud, this week. I look at it more as this is an electric offense that, Herbert is conducting right now. Offensive line gets healthier. and it's going to be like all those receivers in Gadsden are going to kind of eat each and every week. I don't think
they're a top 4 fantasy offense. I'm that high on the Chargers. I've been saying it for a month and a half, and now with Gadsden's emergence, I don't know how every week they're right there with the Colts and the Chiefs. In my eyes, they have the quarterback. Everybody hated on Herbert going into this season, okay, because they're a run-heavy team. They're not going to throw enough. Herbert was ranked quarterback 82. He was free in drafts, and now the narrative. It's crazy how sometimes the narratives completely flip and things come out of nowhere. But Herbert's a top 3 or 4 fantasy quarterback, top 5 at least. I'll say that.
There's a lot of good ones. I would say Herbert is top 3, top 5.
But he runs, Nelson. That's the thing too. People forget. Everybody just thinks he's a big arm quarterback that's just sitting in the pocket and distributing. This guy ran for 65 yards again this past week. As soon as things break down, he's off and running. He's like a deer. So he does it both ways. I
mean, to answer the question, like I like Gadsden, but as far as like ranking him, he's like top 6, top 5.
Yeah, I'd say between 5 and 7.
I think he's a mid-range.
Right,
mid-range tight end.
You're not going to rank him over McBride, Warren, Bowers, Kraft, Kittle. So realistically, 6, 7.
How amazing was that Tucker Kraft game since you brought him up?
Oh my God!
He looks like baby Gronk out there in his prime.
Baby Kittle, I was calling him, but he can be Gronk too.
This is run,
and once again, it's the same thing. You got a crowded wide receiver room, and a tight end who's smashing because they're getting different sorts of targets than the wide receivers are. The wide receivers are fighting each other. The tight end is, it's like, you're in rush hour and you look over on the express lane and there goes your tight end in the express lane and all these wide receivers still fighting for targets. So, that's why you want Kraft. That's why you want Gadsden. I mean, I think if you got Gadsden, if you're in a league where you can trade and you've got like McBride or somebody like that, you can move that McBride type player and get a huge haul for him rather than trying to move Gadsden, who people might not still fully believe in. So,
by the way, Marty in the chat says Chris just said 6, 7. I don't know what the hell this stupid craze is with this 6, 7 thing that everyone is saying. I don't know if all you guys are too old to even know about what the hell I'm talking about.
I've got
this. Yeah. Everybody, 6, 7, 6. I don't know what the hell these kids are talking about. Maybe I'm ancient, but what the hell is this 6, 7? What does it mean? Is it something like that we shouldn't be talking about right now or whatever? But I mean, help me out, guys. Maybe time just passed me by, but 6, 7, 6, 7. Even the NFL players are scoring and doing like the 6, 7. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Let's get back on track. Sorry.
It's meaningless, Chris. It's not meaningless. It's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's just a joke among the kids. Like I've got a younger son, and I made a joke, not even intentionally. Like this past weekend, I helped coach flag football, right? And I was like, all right, let's get touchdown here, get 6 on the board, go extra point, get 7. All the boys are in the huddle like 6, 7, 6, 7. And I'm like, what? Like, do you guys even know the play that I just called?
That's
like,
gotta be
you guys know what's going on?
6, 7.
Yeah.
You distracted them. You distracted
today's
them.
youth.
Yeah,
gotta love it.
All right, Matt.
First off, what I saw that seems pretty incredible. Saquon had like such a magical year last year, and like a lot of people faded him. I was one of them. But Jonathan Taylor has 14 touchdowns after 8 weeks. Saquon had 15 last year. That's just how crazy that is. And it's a shame they don't play the Tennessee Titans, and that's not anything bad on JT, but his last 3 meetings against the Titans, he scored 3 touchdowns in all 3. So that real quick there. It looks like we have a possible backfield takeover in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And if you look at Spears, he's another guy you hope they pass the ball to him more. But he's always been this dynamic kind of guy. So hopefully he seemed to be, especially inside the 10, he seems to be the guy. We'll see. Let's see another week play out before the bye. What I will be interested this week in watching is, does Bashal Tutin get the bye week bump? Look, Etienne, he's done real well for everybody that's taken him. I only have a couple. I didn't full fade him. I wasn't thrilled about him. But the first 3 weeks, he was, lights out. And, he's been able to get some really big runs. But the last few weeks, it's kind of going in a different direction as far as effectiveness. So I'm going to monitor that.
Can I ask this question? Because I saw that all over Twitter. And, of course, I have a ton of ETN. So this is going to seem like I'm being defensive. But I'm just curious. It's so easy to fit the numbers for the narrative of, ETN is fading at this point after a hot start. But can you tell me what the yards per carry is that Tutin's had the last 3 games?
I mean, I don't even know how many carries he's had the last 3 games. If you want to do yards
each
per
game,
carry,
he's had a handful of target carries.
I'll make this argument with you.
Yeah.
The first few games, ETN, awesome. He was averaging over 6 yards a carry. He had the 70-yard run, 49. He had at least one big run in every game. I think against the Niners, he had 2 of those runs. Those are what's really propelled him. I'm not being a hater. I'm not being a Tutin guy. I'm just this is what I'm looking at as what I'm possibly going to see. So let's see what Tutin's touches.
My question is why?
People are making this assumption because Cohen, out of the break, out of the bye week last year, turned the backfield over to Bucky from Rashad White, and things took off. So now everybody's just assuming
that too, Chris. But it's also you expect to see a bump from the rookies after the bye as well.
But let's look at who they played. They played Kansas City, great rush defense. Seattle, very good rush defense. Yep. Rams, great rush defense. That was their last 3 games. That's where ETN sucked. And I don't know that you can.
Okay, but hold on. We wanted to know the last 3 weeks.
But Dan's making a point that the context matters. So
right.
ETN's shitty games, yards per carry has dropped way down. The last 3 weeks have been against very good defenses against the running back.
Against the shit teams, he did well. So you can say there's that. And
I would hope so. Yeah, I want my guy.
Okay.
Well,
but
Vegas up this week, so
he's had 4 runs that really catapulted did like majority of his yardage in the first 3 weeks. I'm not making that up. It's there to go look at. He had a 70-yarder, a 49-yarder, a 30-yarder. That's great. Not a lot of running backs do that. But you said, what has Bashal Tutin done the last 3 weeks? 6 carries for 21 yards versus Houston. Really good defense. Against Cincinnati, he got 8 carries for 42. And
where are you going? You're going backwards.
I'm actually looking at the wrong one. So he's gotten 11 carries in the last 3 weeks. What is that? That's nothing. You can't judge somebody on that. I don't know.
Why are we expecting a takeover of the backfield?
Yeah. Because it's a bye. And the post bump, I'm looking at that. ETN hasn't set the world on fire. You could say, yes, he faced better comp. But at some point, they're talking maybe Travis Hunter is going to get more involved. I think that we're going to see some changes coming out of the bye. They just got embarrassed in a standalone game.
I heard the same thing about Matthew Golden out of the bye a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still waiting, holding my you-know-what.
Well, I didn't say that.
Sometimes, no, I'm just saying, we always talk about the rookie bump after the bye until it doesn't work.
I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is what I'm going to be looking at.
It's a possibility, right? I'm just trying to prove the point, and Dan brought it up, made a good point. Context matters, okay? And ETN, it's easy to fit that narrative of look at what ETN's done the last 3 weeks. Well, look at the defenses that he's faced the last 3 weeks. And all I'm saying is, what has Tutin done the last 3 weeks versus those same defenses that makes you think like, okay, he's a much better runner than ETN at this point.
Yeah, well, my argument is he's got 11 rush attempts. I mean, you can't judge somebody by that. I can't judge. Trevion Henderson might suck, but I haven't seen enough of an opportunity to say he sucks. And then he plays the Browns, like the best run defense, and the guy's ripping off 27 yards. You know, he put up 75. I don't think anybody's come close to that this year. So, again, these are observations. I'm looking at Spears is possible to take over in Tennessee.
Stick on that. Stick on that for a second there, Matt. Stick on that because you just skimmed over it. But that's what stood out to me. It was one of my observations is it looks like this Tennessee backfield is now being turned over to Spears. He was playing early in the game and often, and he stayed in there most of the time. And with the trade deadline, looming here this week, I think Tony Pollard's on the top of that list on where getting shipped out here. And Tennessee just goes with a complete youth movement, turns the backfield over to Spears. I think Pollard's unplayable moving forward here. And Spears is one of those nice pieces that coming into week 9 here, along with a Tyrone Tracy, people are going to be able to take off their bench and start. So I saw the same thing with Spears over Pollard now going forward.
Would you say that whole offense?
Say it again?
Would you say for the whole offense, the running back, the tight end might be making that move with Gunnar Helm? However you say his name. It's
a look to the future now. It's like, what do we got here? The kid DK, everybody in this offense. Yeah, it could be a total movement.
What about Calvin Ridley? Does he get traded? I mean, you got to think like guys like Ridley and Judy who've done absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
could be had and maybe like on a Bills team or a better offense.
It will be interesting to see what happens with Ridley. Now that the coaching change has happened. I still don't hold out a ton of hope for him, but I mean the offense has at least looked marginally better.
Ridley can't fetch a kicking thing.
Harry's on fire.
Listen, I do agree with Matt that as far as rookies are concerned, coming out of the bye or in the second half, those are the type of guys that you want to look to because as teams move on, it's like, okay, we're looking for some juice. We're looking for some life in the team. You could have a losing team, and it's like, hey, it's time to get these young kids some playing time, see what they can do. And, I've been saying now for the last couple of weeks that every year there's receivers or a rookie receiver that emerges out of nowhere where they did nothing in the first half, and then in the second half they become very, very viable, where they're a starting option. So, I would be looking at like Tennessee for one, like the DK kid is a kid that's trending up, and he's got not warning signs, but there's positive signs there that he's a guy that should seek your attention on the waiver wire if he's available. That he could be a guy down the stretch that could be a big part of that offense.
He operates in Ward's comfort zone. That's what helps him out.
The last observation that I have for the rookie running back kind of thing is in Cleveland. I mean, Judkins is going to be the bell cow, but I'm assuming maybe after this bye, we saw when Judkins left, they finally went to Sampson. And Sampson was a hell of a player in Tennessee, And maybe you get that thunder lightning in the second half for the Browns. They have.
Why not?
Just
why not?
Real quick.
I'm shooting this one down real quick.
All they have is the tight ends. The quarterback's 5'8", the guy they're rolling with right now. So, and maybe to keep Judkins healthy.
Matt has a lot of Sampson shares.
I honestly, I had.
Matt,
I don't.
Matt, Matt, pay no attention to Chris. Continue.
Yeah. It's an observation, and to discount a guy like Sampson, who I believe he was the SEC like running back of the year last year. This guy really good.
He was.
So I just look at it as they can't throw the ball to wide receivers. It's either the tight ends, it's been Judkins, and you might have something viable in the second half. Not that it's going to happen. These were my observations of what could possibly happen, what I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
I like it, Matt.
Vaccaro's like, no.
Nelson definitely has a lot of Samson.
Matt and Nelson with all the Samson shares.
I had a ton of Samson, but I do not have a ton anymore.
I have a ton of both. It just whoever was cheaper. Judkins was cheaper sometimes, so I'd take him. Samson was cheaper sometimes, so I'd take him.
All right, who's next?
Nelson.
Me? All right.
Me?
Let's see. Is it just me, or do you guys notice for fantasy he's getting it done, but like to me Josh Jacobs doesn't look all that good.
Correct.
To me doesn't look explosive, and
Not
I know
this past
obviously
week. Not this past week for sure he didn't. And if you notice, Nelson, they started implementing Emmanuel Wilson, others in the backfield, and now we hear in Lloyd is ready to go as well. I wouldn't be if I was in a trading league. Jacobs would be at the top of my list of guys to try and maybe move right now when people are getting fooled by the fantasy points because he scores every week.
Yeah.
The last 3 weeks he gets in the end zone consistently. But yeah, the eye test. You're right.
I don't have any, but is he banged up? Because I know, like against
he's got the calf issue, no doubt about it.
I'm not trying to like defend, but I know he was banged up the last one. But yeah, Wilson, what's his name? Emmanuel looked pretty damn good there, and even Sevi on that nice little play they made for him.
The other observation I wanted to make was that my teams obviously have been struggling taking second round Chase Brown, but if he's looked good all year. I just think that he's been off to a rough start, and it's not necessarily all him. But now the last couple of weeks, he's really come alive. And I think in the second half, if you got some teams still alive with Chase Brown, like he could be really good down the stretch. And their shootout schedule is incredible.
Well, their schedule opens up now. They went through a rough patch where the matchups on paper and in real life didn't look that good for Chase Brown. And now it opened up this past week, the Jets, the Bears, on and on. You get Flacco, like Matt said earlier, under center. You got a veteran there that can dump the ball off to him. I still think, with all that being said, now you got a bigger problem if you're Chase owners. All of a sudden, now the coaching staff thinks Sam P. Ryan is Walter Payton, and they're giving him a lot.
Nigerian nightmare.
Yeah, the second coming of Okoye.
That's a question for the show. Like, is P. Ryan now like somebody you could pick up?
So, for sure. Which is going to make me throw it back to Nelson. And Nelson, where is P. Ryan on the FTN your waiver report there this week? How high of a bid? Because I feel like I said it last week that I thought the waiver wire was the worst of the year. The waiver wire this week has to be by far the worst of the year.
It's ugly. So it's Singletary, Samson, Devin Neal, P. Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the guy in Philadelphia, Tank Bigsby? He's got to be.
Bigsby's number 5.
Yeah, he's got to be.
And only because he would be much higher, but they're going into a bye week with Saquon banged up. But it sounded like with Saquon, it sounded like it wasn't too serious. So like. Bigsby was a guy that was definitely going to be way up there if Philadelphia was playing next week, and we had a questionable Saquon.
Little tip for our listeners: if you're the Saquon owner, go pick up Tank Bigsby this week because you're going to run into a situation come following week when they come out of the bye where this team is playing on Monday night, and you don't want to be sitting there on Sunday and Barkley's game time decision. You cover your ass now with Tank Bigsby for a Monday night game when they come out of the bye.
Great point. Definitely. So I want to kind of piggyback off of what Nelson was saying, though, and let's not only talk about some guys we're adding, but like who are the bench stashes that you guys are just cutting bait with at this point? Like for me, I think DJ
at what position, Dan?
Running back
all
mostly.
So you want to just do running back right now, or you want to do all of them?
Well, let's start with running back. I mean, Giddens, I think that's now he's inactive, and so Abdullah and Goodson have apparently passed him by. So I think Giddens is probably one that you can let go. you know, if Jonathan Taylor truly goes down, it's probably going to be a committee.
Oh, we don't
anyways.
talk that. We don't talk that. All right. We don't talk anything about that.
You watch your effing mouth.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth, man.
Sorry. I will. I'll do some Hail Marys and all that after the.
But I said it last week on the show, Dan. You're 100% right. DJ Giddens was 100% owned in NFFC last week. And I'm sitting there going, this guy hasn't touched the ball in a month.
Yeah, you're right.
When you watch the Colts, everybody was just assuming that he's the backup if something happened to JT. And there's Abdullah, and there's
Goodson.
And Goodson. Like, I started getting rid of some of my shares as well.
I'm doing that. I'm looking to do that now this week too, but I'm like so apprehensive to do it. Like, you can't see it. You can't. I didn't see Cam Scadaboo's ankle going the other way. You know.
But let's say something does happen to JT. I mean, do you really think it's going to all of a sudden turn into the Giddens show, or is he going to be a role player?
Let me say that.
Okay, you go, Nelson. Then I'll go.
So here's the thing. Abdullah's been in the league how many years? We know what he is. Okay.
Right.
So for me, I do not go after those kind of guys on the waiver wire. I'm just not into those veteran type running backs. Devin Singletary, like, no, not interested, man. Like, we've seen this movie before. The guy is a 4 to 7 point type player, right? If something happened, okay, to the starter in Indy, okay, he'll remain nameless, okay. I think that Giddens is got the type of size that Goodson and Abdullah do not. And I think that he's inactive right now because he does not fill a role, okay? And Abdullah and Goodson are good in the passing game, and they fill the role that the coaching staff is looking for. So if there was some type of injury or whatever, I think that Giddens would be very much involved. But what makes me think that I can drop him now a little more safely is the fact that he wouldn't get the whole role. That 100%, he wouldn't be getting passing work. And that, to me, in fantasy with a running back is way, way less appealing for me.
Excellent points, Nelson. Here's how I would break it down. This offense is so good, number one. But Giddens, to me, I'll use a fantasy baseball reference. It's like when you have the relief pitcher in waiting to be the closer, you want to bet on the talent to win out. And like you said, with Abdullah, and I'm not banking on Goodson or whatever. And just one other thing on Singletary, I agree with everything Nelson said about Singletary, but Dabo loves Singletary. From the Bills days, they just signed him again. So I think he has a possibility of getting maybe a little niche role out of that.
Yeah. But and I agree with that the coach loves him, but he still is who he is.
No, I agree.
He's capped with what he's capable of doing. Abdullah is capped in what he's capable of doing. So that's how
Goodson. How do you feel about Goodson?
Goodson is a guy that has the quickness and he's got the passing ability for sure. Like he's interesting. But I look at it more like, okay, I thought Giddens had a chance to just have the whole role to himself in Indy. Goodson got healthy because if you remember, Goodson was hurt at the start of the year. Goodson got healthy, and then they brought in Abdullah. That makes it more messy where I'm like, okay, because like I said, I always ask myself this question. I'm dropping this running back off my team. I'm going to add somebody else, whatever. Can this guy break fantasy? If I drop him and things break right, can this guy be a game changer? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, you know what? There's guys in play in that backfield that are going to cap him and he doesn't have the ceiling, then I can feel more comfortably letting him go.
Well, but what about the last 2 years?
So Giddens is one of those guys that I feel comfortable letting go for that reason, not the reason that I think because he's inactive, if something happened to the running back there that you like that, Chris? Yeah. So if something happened to the starting running back there, that all of a sudden Abdullah and Goodson would be the guys there. I think Giddens would have a real role, just not what we want
But he did catch 50 passes the last 2 years at Kansas State. Not like he can't catch a pass.
That's right. That's why he was 100% owned, up until a few weeks ago. And why I was interested in him is that if something happened, I felt like he could be a bell cow. Now, not so much. Now with Goodson back healthy and Abdullah in the picture, I don't think that happens.
I could just speak from experience. I'm 46% owned Jonathan Taylor this year, and I'd say Giddens was on like 40% of those teams just sitting there doing nothing, and I unloaded at least half of those shares last week. But to this point that Dan brings up, and we talked about it last week on the show with Isaiah Davis, and Ollie Gordon, who both had nice games this past week. You can't drop running backs. Like, give me a name that you guys think. I'll throw out one name that I think that I have on some teams as like an RB7, and it's only because of the emergence of Tank Bigsby, and that's a couple Will Shipley shares that I could safely say, all right, you know what? He's not the guy in Philadelphia. I'll drop him. Okay, Michael Carter now got released in Arizona. Maybe that's it. I actually dropped a Michael Carter share last week, and I must have stared at the screen for 45 minutes and said, I need to drop somebody to pick a guy up, but I don't want to drop Michael Carter. Like, you can't drop running backs at the high stakes level. I don't know. Besides Giddens and those two names, Shipley, you just can't do it. There's no situations where it's like, I got Chris Rodriguez in Washington. I have some shares. Maybe that's over and done with. There's no point in holding him. But, I mean, you guys tell me. We talked about Ollie Gordon and Isaiah Davis, and you saw this past week right away why those guys shouldn't even have been mentioned as possible drops.
Right. What about Taj Brooks? I mean,
yes.
Yeah,
long gone.
I would assume with most people he's pretty well gone. Jarquez Hunter should be in the same boat, should be long gone by now.
Yeah.
But, if you're hanging on to guys like that, I think you can get rid of them.
Agreed with those two names.
Okay. Anybody else? Anyone else that you guys are looking at that you're like, I think I'm probably going to have to drop him if I get in a jam?
I think it's all the ham and eggers. Like I was telling you, like, I'm not interested in like these Abdullahs. I'm not interested in Devin Singletary. I won't be interested in him tomorrow. Maybe I get him for a couple of bucks. If
these guys are talking about guys that you could drop from your team. These guys aren't owned.
Yeah. Well, Jerome Ford.
Well, hold on, Nelson.
I'm not interested. Like I could drop him no problem. Like I don't see him as like a game breaker.
Right.
What about with Singletary again? Just to mention, is he going to get goal line opportunities doing that? Tracy has failed in that role. I don't know. I'm not saying he's somebody you have to get, but
I think Singletary will be added in every league this week.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Okay, someone will put him on the team and go, hey, you know what? Now he's the number 2. He's one shot away. He's one Tyrone Tracy away shot. You could watch the game this week, and maybe Singletary's the guy getting 10, 12 carries because they don't want to give Tracy that many carries. Tracy plays more of like the DeMarcado role. Maybe I'm just saying. Could happen.
So Matt, I apologize. Let me rephrase it. It's not that I'm not totally uninterested in Singletary. He serves a role. He's going to have a role. He serves a purpose on everybody's fantasy team. My point that I'm trying to make, he's going to go for way more money than I'm willing to spend.
I totally agree.
I got one guy real quick that before I forget it, I want to touch on two running backs real quick. There's a guy that I keep adding and dropping, and he's like a tweener. Okay, he does nothing, but we know the talent is there at the running back position. Okay, Ray Davis. What do you guys do with Ray Davis? Okay, he's 95% owned. He barely gets out in the game, but if something happened to James Cook, I could talk freely about it. I have no James Cook. So James Cook goes down. Okay.
We got to give James Cook some respect.
Oh, my God. James Cook.
He's been fucking amazing.
One of the best picks of the year on the board. No doubt about it. Sure. But if James Cook was to miss time, okay, wouldn't Ray Davis? I mean, Nelson, to your point, yeah, there would be a lot of Ty Johnson in the mix, but Ray Davis would get it double-digit carries right away. So
you can't drop. Here's the thing. You can't drop Ray Davis. Ray Davis in the Buffalo Bills offense versus Devin Singletary in the Giants offense are night and day.
Right.
Yep.
Like it matters as far as like the offense that they're in. So like Singletary, maybe he gets goal line work. How many times are the Giants going to be like near the goal line compared to like Buffalo? So Ty Johnson 100% would be involved, kind of like we were talking about Giddens and Abdullah and Goodson, right? They would be involved in the passing game. Ray Davis, I can catch the ball. Like he would be involved a little bit, right, on checkdowns. But Ty Johnson would be involved. But Ray Davis is in such an elite offense.
Yes.
And they can run the ball. They've shown it. Like, you know, I know Cook is a special talent, but like he's running for 200 yards. Like I want that running back that last year showed when James Cook missed the game. Was it a Thursday night?
Monday Night Football.
I think it was a Monday nighter.
Monday nighter. Like
20+ points.
He showed what he could do.
Because a lot of these guys, like an Isaiah Davis, is like somebody you could, in a pinch, like throw in the flex and hope you get that 17-point game you get. Ray Davis is completely unplayable right now. Like you can't even think about it. He just sits on your bench. He eats up a roster spot. And each week you're like, all right, James Cook stayed healthy again. Going to keep him on the team though. Like, but Ray Davis is completely unusable. He doesn't even like get a sniff. It's crazy.
No, he's one of those guys. Put him on your bench and just forget him and just leave him there. Not every player on your team needs to be playable. Like they don't all need to have a role. You got to look at it as what is their upside if something happens. And that. So,
yeah, and Nelson, that's to my point last week when I was like, you know, we get into these bye weeks, these injuries, and you got to let somebody go. And it's like, do I let go my second tight end that actually plays 80% of the snap, or like is a contributor, a receiver that's good and a contributor, or the running back that's my RB7 that doesn't touch the field, but if the starter goes down, you have the league, you know, like a league winner or you know, a game changer, like you say. And that's the you know, the toughest decision right there.
I think it comes down to replaceability. I mean, you know, can you replace that second or third tight end? Can you replace, you know, an FFPC? Maybe not. In NFFC, you probably can. Right. Can you replace that running back? You know, with somebody who has as much contingent upside? Or can you replace that wide receiver? You know, and that's kind of the opposite. In FFPC, you can probably replace that wide receiver who's on the end of your bench. In NFFC, you might not be able to.
Yeah. Last thing, I know we're trying to get as many observations and points out on this show. Last night, weird move by the Cardinals. They dropped, you know, releasing Michael Carter, who a lot of us thought was the starter up until last week when Bam Knight looked like he took the lead. But for a team that's still, you know, thin at the running back position to let Michael Carter go, I thought it was a pretty strange move. But for all of us owners listening that are holding all the Trey Benson shares and everything, I think that's a really good sign that Trey Benson is ready to go. He's, you know, still 1 week away. He's not eligible to come off until week 10. So you still have to get through this week 9. And then I think we got a major piece here with Trey Benson coming off of IR and back into our starting lineup. So we're 1 week away, Trey Benson owners.
Chris, like you, I did cut Michael Carter, I think, in one league on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But I did see something late last night or early this morning that they looked to re-sign him. So I don't know if they're re-signing him, put him on the practice squad.
Oh, for sure. So. It's a procedural move that.
Right. No, but why? He was on the. He wasn't on the practice.
No,
squad,
he was on the roster, but
he was practice squad, so he's still able.
And
I think they were elevating him each week. I think that's what they were doing, and then they had after 3 weeks, you gotta sign him. You can't keep elevating him.
But you also run the risk of somebody else signing him now, right?
Yeah, but what that tells me, Chris, is it tells me a couple of things. It tells me that Benson probably is back sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. it tells me DeMercado is probably healthy and in the good graces of the coaching staff.
Yep.
And it tells me that there's potential that Dearness Johnson is a guy they rather have on the team rather, than Carter. That might be something where Dearness serves more of a purpose than Carter. I don't know.
Two questions. Two follow-up questions to this. One, do you start Bam Knight this week versus Dallas?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Number two, what is everybody doing with the little shit turd Kyler Murray?
I don't have any. So
I don't have any Kyler Murray.
I have almost none.
All right. Big test. If you are a Kyler Murray owner, okay, and you don't start him on the road in Dallas, it's time to cut Kyler Murray. It's time to have that serious discussion, which, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Kyler Murray's been dropped in a handful of NFFC leagues. I think I have 3 or 4.
Those are mine, Chris. I added Flacco last week for Murray.
Chris, the more important part with Kyler coming back is Trey McBride not going to score touchdowns again? Yeah. That's what I'm concerned about.
Kyler's the McBride killer.
I'm just hoping that Kyler just needs a little bit more time to get healthy and another one of those soft benchings. Get us a little more Brissett.
Yeah. But Bam Knight's going to be one of those guys that people are going to slide in there for a 1 week, for the teams that are maybe the Barkley owner, the Quinshawn Junkins owner, the Breece Hall owner. Shout out to Breece Hall showing up for this season this past week. Monster game.
How doesn't Kansas City just make a deal for that guy? Like, just picture him on the Chiefs offense for Breece Hall. Like, that just seems like the easiest trade to make.
God's ears.
You know what? By the way, let me just get this out there. F you, Kareem Hunt. I'm sick of this guy. Like,
he passed Barkley last night as far as total touchdown.
He is the grossest player to have on your team because you in no
Nobody
way
has him.
Nobody wants to start him. Oh, I got him on a couple teams, and it's like he's that guy who keeps coming off and on my teams.
I'll say this:
he's that guy that keeps coming in and out of my starting lineups when it's really gross at running back. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll throw Kareem Hunt in there and hope he gets this is a 2 touchdown week instead of a 5 carries for 9 yards week.
If I'm spotted in Kansas City, I'm probably there to galooly that guy. I'll tell you that right now, because we need him out of the picture.
I'd like to take that into a trade discussion, observation talk with the week away here. You guys just brought up Breece Hall to Kansas City. Can we go around? Is there one player that you guys in a perfect world would put on another team here? That's somebody that is up for trade talk right here. Someone that's been talked about. And I'm going to throw out, I would love to see David Njoku get moved this week while the Browns are on a bye. And I think a perfect landing spot for him is out in LA with the Rams. Let's give Stafford another weapon to try and make a Super Bowl run here with Adams and Puka. Put Njoku at the tight end position here. And I think that's a perfect fit. But I'll turn it over to you guys. Is there anybody that you would love to pick up and put on another team?
I got an easy one. I don't think it happens. Chris Olave coming to Buffalo, but I don't think that happens.
I don't think
I don't think so neither. I would take at this point for like a 6th-round pick, a Calvin Ridley or a Judy in Buffalo, just to see if it changes scenery.
Are you guys scorned with Amari Cooper move last year? Like,
look, they paid I'm not paying a 3rd round like they did last year for Amari.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But if you could get one of those 2 guys for a late round pick, just to see the difference with, Jerry Jeudy has sucked this year. He probably has more drops than catches, but still, put him there or Calvin Ridley. I don't know.
I want to see Brian Thomas anywhere but Jacksonville with Lauren.
You know what? That's been the talk the last 24 hours, Nelson. But you don't trade a 2nd-year wide receiver 1st rounder. Like, I don't know why this is even a rumor. Like, he's struggling this first half.
I think it's more clickbait.
You don't move on from it. It's not a trade piece.
Totally agent driven. Got to be.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's
Dan. You got one?
Yeah, I think the Commanders need a running back. Breece Hall would be great. Tony Pollard would be great.
You nailed it. You nailed it right there, Dan. That was going to be my next comment. Was I'm secretly hoping for Tony Pollard to go to Washington.
That'd be fantastic.
That would be the perfect thing for twofold reason. You turn the Tennessee backfield over to Spears. Okay, you open up that backfield for a nice piece in Spears, and then you got Tony Pollard in a nice place with Washington. That's the dream trade scenario right there, Dan. You hit it.
I mean, shout out to Marcus Mariota. He's played well in his couple of starts. But that Washington offense just needs Jaden Daniels because they are just – without him, it's like night and day. Like
right.
That's how good he is. He takes a average old team and makes them actually a pretty good team just because what he can do. So they desperately need him to come back.
Without a doubt. And Chris, to your Njoku point, put him on Tampa Bay. I mean, there's an offense that can use him.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see him there too. I don't think that's actually a good one, Dan. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I got some Kate Otten that I want to enjoy, but I think that's actually a good one.
I don't know. I think those two could probably coexist to a certain extent.
There's really not that many. Like when I was looking at this topic, and thinking about it, like the big talk is Jacoby Myers, right? What's a good landing spot for Jacoby Myers? Like I was going through all the teams, and I'm like, I really don't see. I'd love to see Pittsburgh. Okay, that's solid. Yeah. I was going to say the Giants selfishly, but they're 2-6. Do you really make a move for Jacoby Myers? If they do make that move, it's just to simply not stump Dart's growth. Mm-hmm. And they say, listen, let's keep giving Dart, some weapons here. But I don't know why as a 2-6 team you make that, you make that move. But Myers to Pittsburgh, who, by the way, just signed Marquez Valdez-Scantlings to give Aaron Rodgers his boyfriend back again. Ridiculous. Maybe they're going to sign Lazard too. Maybe they'll make a move for him, but just ridiculous.
All right. Well, let's take one more quick break. We'll be back in just a few moments. All right, and we're back.
You didn't let Nelson do it.
I know. I figured I had to jump in there pretty fast.
Jesus.
So. All right, Chris, I think you covered your last one. Matt?
For me, it's real quick. Two wide receivers to touch on. They're basically really good buy fill-ins or, possibly throughout the rest of the season. You saw Troy Franklin, who's, you watch this guy every week. He's getting 10
number one
targets.
Fantasy receiver this week, Matt.
Yes. You're watching him get 8 targets, 10 targets. He's dropping passes. Bo Nix is overthrowing him. They have that connection from Oregon. He has the speed. And this week, it finally came to fruition. Look, Courtland Sutton's the undoubted number one there. Nobody's arguing that. But if this guy can take that number 2 role there, and the other guy, a couple of weeks back when we mentioned be prepared for this 6-week bye, I had like 3 goals, and it was get the Houston defense, either get Fairbairn or get Boswell if available because they had the buys, and get Alec Pierce wherever available. And look, Alec Pierce is a guy that's probably going to do like 2 or 3 for 60-something yards every week. He'll give you like 8 to 10 points and with the upside of a touchdown. And I think he's actually really grown as a receiver. He used to be a deep down the field threat. And with that offense, it's stacked. You got Pittman, Downs, him, the tight end Warren. But if somebody was to go down, a guy like Alec Pierce could just really catapult and show. So those were just 2 guys I wanted to touch on. I don't know with Franklin. He's so inconsistent, but the role is there for him to take, and same thing with Pierce.
So I just want to follow up real quick. That was one of my observations, Matt, was this Broncos offense and the wide receiver room. Troy Franklin ran 63% of the snaps. He was actually available in one of my prime times, and I got outbid for him. I was pissed off about that. But Courtland Sutton's has let his owners down lately. Franklin, like I said, 63%. Mims got banged up. He ran, I think, around 50% of the snaps, or less than that because he got hurt. Pat Bryant ran 56% of the snaps. The tight end room is a mess. Evan Ingram's running 40% of the snaps. Troutman's playing more than him. Is this Broncos offense, pass game offense, okay? Obviously, as a Sutton owner, you're playing him, but you can no longer look at Sutton as like an elite wide receiver too, I don't think, because they spread it around too much. I think Sutton's one of those guys that, every third week he'll have a nice 20-point fantasy game. But other than that, is this Broncos wide receiver room unplayable? And with that, a follow-up to you guys is I see 4 really good teams, okay, that have this same problem that the Broncos do, okay? The Green Bay Packers, the New England Patriots, and the Buffalo Bills, okay? These are 4 really good teams that I don't know at the wide receiver room if anybody is startable. Maybe you guys see it differently. I'm sure with Buffalo, maybe some of you guys will be like Khalil Shakir, but I don't view him any differently than a Troy Franklin, that some weeks he's going to be a 6, some weeks he's going to be an 18, okay? Same thing in Green Bay. Things haven't materialized for Matthew Golden. It's going to be a waste of a rookie season, okay? Now you get Watson back. Jaden Reed's coming right behind him, okay? What are you doing in that wide receiver room? There's only one startable player. It's Tucker Kraft. There's only one startable player in Denver. It's Sutton. And these are all good teams.
I like Watson. I mean, as long as he stays healthy, I think Watson is going to have a role in that team.
So you're starting. You're a set it and forget it with Christian Watson going.
Oh
forward.
no, not set it and forget it.
That's
but I'm
what I'm
definitely
saying.
getting him.
Well, I think what you made the point on the Bills and the Packers, and I think something that hurts them when it comes down to playoff time is neither has that number one wide receiver. I know the Packers always say we don't need one. And if it's going to be Tucker Kraft, then, hey, you probably don't. And if Jacobs is healthy. But with the Bills, I mean, I notice, it gets to playoff time. And I love Shakir after the catch, watching that. Coleman's not happening. You need a number one. And Diggs that final year let them down versus Kansas City. So I think J.A. needs a number one receiver. So I think that's a problem when you don't have one.
Yeah, I think the Bills have more of a problem with that than the Packers do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the Packers are kind of in a way almost more just fine because they do have Tucker Kraft. I think they are going to start relying on Christian Watson. I'm not ready to put him and set it and forget it or anything like that, Chris. But to your point, I want Watson on my teams because he's somebody that I'm definitely interested in. I'm worried about his ability to stay healthy because it seems like he gets hurt after 2 or 3 weeks every year, but I'll take him as long as I got him.
He looks good though.
He's taking over for Wicks. What are you getting out of Matthew Golden other than showers? I mean,
that was a good one, Dan. I caught that.
Cut it and clip it. Cut it and clip it.
Got my eye on you.
Dan, you've been holding on. Dan, you wrote that one down, Dan, didn't you? Dan, you had that one in the chamber. Dan, you had that one in the chamber all show long. You were waiting for it.
I did.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a good one. But no, Nelson, you're a Patriot guy. What are you doing with all these players? Who's startable in New England when you set your lineups?
I can play Diggs.
Are you sitting there going, I hope it's not a 4, though?
Yeah, not with super confidence, but I can play Diggs. He's a wide receiver 3 flex option. And then, Booty, you're dependent on him catching the long touchdown, which, has been happening, but you can't count on that. So there is nobody. Like they like to spread the ball around. It's whoever's open, and that's the offense that works for Maye. And I know people were talking about I could see a receiver going to New England, and I that's on my wish list of a true number one receiver that could grow with Maye, like a younger guy, because Diggs is up there in age, but they like that spread it out, like Matt Collins and Douglas, and then they mix in Kyle Williams here and there. That's the offense that they run. It's the same thing with Buffalo. We can wish for a number one receiver, but I think that's what they like. Like that's the offensive coordinator and Josh Allen. They're content with that. Now, could they use a little more depth? Yes, because I do think actually Buffalo's wide receiver group is a little thin. I think They need a guy, not a stud, but they need a guy that's.
I still think they're hoping on Kincaid being the Kraft or the Kelsey to those teams. You know, like I still think they're waiting for Kincaid to be the centerpiece of the passing offense, with Shakir as a nice compliment to him as well. The two of them. And then whoever gets open is catching two balls, like a Josh Palmer or whoever, whoever. But those four offenses are all really similar. They're all good teams. They all have good quarterbacks. They don't have a go-to.
Well, the problem for the Bills is their defense. Ed Oliver has got like torn biceps now, and he's one of the best players. And that defense they played the Panthers this week. That defense is going to get shredded. Like they're playing Kansas City this week. And they need to be able to score. They need, and like you said, the wide receivers are thin. I'm praying for Jerry Jeudy, Ridley at worst. I don't see the Dolphins trading Waddle to the Bills. I don't see the Saints getting rid of Olave.
I don't either.
But I'm hoping
the Bills, something. You know what they need for their offense? They need a speed guy out wide. Coleman's not that guy, and Shakir's not that guy. Shakir's to me, is more like middle of the field. And make plays after the catch. But they need to keep defenses honest. They need that speed element on the outside and be able to utilize Allen's arm. So
it still kills me. 2 years ago, they passed on Worthy, they passed on Ladd, and they drafted Keon.
I think you might see Keon Coleman on some waiver wires this week. I mean, my God, talk about how the mighty have fallen from early in the season. That's why we always talk about the first couple of weeks. You see some weird shit in fantasy, right?
And that came off of
Keon Coleman. Here he is, and the same thing with Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey's dead. And now you look up in week 8, and all of a sudden it's like.
And Chris, the Keon Coleman thing, like in camp, every day in August, they said he's the best player. Josh Allen throwing him these. And Allen supposedly was the guy that wanted him. So you assume
we heard the same thing with Tracy and Scatterbo. Mm-hmm. Tracy is by far the lead back here. Blah blah blah. And countless other things. People lie.
Let's talk about what else we got. I think we've kind of hit the trade market pretty well. Anybody else have anything they want to cover?
I got a handful of things, Dan. I don't know if anybody else wants
to go, Chris. Go.
Real quick, absolute disgrace in Cincinnati. Joe Flacco, we love what you're doing, but absolutely cannot have T. Higgins getting 2 targets to Jamar Chase's 19 targets. T. Higgins is a $25 million a year stud wide receiver. You cannot disrespect T. Higgins and treat him like he's Yosavas, okay?
Is this the Festivus segment?
Yeah, this is absolute, but that's just an absolute disgrace. Like, spread it around a little bit. T. Higgins deserves better than this, so start implementing it. Nobody has a problem with what is happening with Jamar Chase. He's clearly back to being the wide receiver 1 overall. That's all well and good, but you can't forget a guy like T. Higgins. He's not chopped liver, so do better, Joe Flacco, with that. Another receiver, Justin Jefferson. Has had only 2 games this year over 15 fantasy points. And I think it's just a lesson for all of us that no matter how great the talent is, sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the quarterback positions when we're drafting each year. I have 0 Justin Jefferson shares. I thought J.J. McCarthy was complete trash. So far he has been. We'll see what happens when he comes back now. Wentz didn't come in and do any favors either. But it's been a disappointing year for Justin Jefferson so far.
Well, just real quick on Jefferson, Chris.
Yeah.
Would you say it's more of the offensive line? Because Wentz, he had 2 out of 3 games. Once that game in whatever against the Browns or whoever, they lost 2 linemen. Dursel came back. Dursel's out, and they just got destroyed. I mean, Wentz is terrible, but 2 out of 3 games, Addison and Jefferson had over 100 yards each. But once that line went, I think that was more.
The line is shot. It speaks wonders that Carson Wentz suited up and played that game last week, obviously clearly needing season-ending shoulder surgery, and J.J. McCarthy's over on the sidelines, hopping up and down. Like he looked good enough to play more than a guy that needs season-ending surgery going into the game. I mean, that just tells me a lot that the coach is like, McCarthy's not ready, and let's not put him out there and keep, stumping his growth and getting him mentally all messed up and putting Wentz in there. So I could only imagine what we're going to see here with J.J. McCarthy. Huh?
Yeah, we're starting to get some Brosmer whispers in Minnesota.
If you see him, then it's a real bad sign.
JJ's not ready. They're going to. Yeah. Oh, exactly.
And then I got one last thing here, guys. Give me one guy you guys are really light on or have no shares that you're scared of the most rest of season at any position. Who jumps out to you the most? Actually, while you guys all sit there pondering, I could see the confused look in all your faces as I drop this on you. I'm going to throw out my
You give us that
guy.
one cold. I mean,
yeah, I'm going to throw my guy out. I'm petrified of Rashee Rice. I only have a couple small shares of Rashee Rice, but I think he's a top 5 or 6 fantasy.
I can say this, Chris,
on him.
Since you mentioned Rice, the fact that, I'll blame it on the Kelsey, totally wrecking him. But the Xavier Worthy had that opportunity. And I believe that game, I forget where they even played it, wherever it was played, he probably would have had like a 30-point week because you saw Hollywood Brown go off. But Worthy getting laid out week 1, opening drive, it's really going to make the Worthy thing happen. And I hate to admit it, very difficult. Unless things change. Also, I think to point out, JSN did not play this week, and he still is leading the league by over 100 yards in the season.
Yeah, wild. It'd be nice. It's going to be nice putting JSN back in lineups. And speaking of week 8, while I still wait for everybody's answer, we think about this. Going into week 8, okay, we had Garrett Wilson out, A.J. Brown, Nico Collins, Drake London, Puka, Amon-Ra, JSN, Brian Thomas, and Marvin Harrison. Okay.
I mean, Puka.
Why did you mention Brian Thomas with the rest of them?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. My point is this. It was another week dominated by the running back position, and the wide receivers did shit.
But in all seriousness, Dan mentioned BTJ. And just to reiterate the point, I mentioned it last week too, we're going to see this happen. Like BTJ and Ladd really blew up from this point on last year. I'm not saying those are the 2 guys, but there will be 2 other guys or a couple of players that will make that move down, for the second half. Everybody, it's very difficult to be an MVP for 17 weeks in a season. It's like with baseball. You see these guys at the All-Star break. They got 30-something homers. They're going to hit 65. Doesn't happen for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
Nelson, who's your guy? Nelson, who you light on? What scares the shit out of you? Oh, Dan, go ahead. Sorry, Dan, go ahead. You got the answer. Dan?
Yeah, I'm too light on Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, both of those guys, I have some, but I'm underweight on them, and that does not feel good right now.
Mm-hmm. Nelson,
JSN for me.
JSN.
Yeah.
All good answers. I'll throw in Puka and Achan for me.
Yeah, I mean, Puka, for me, like I said, I was scared of Stafford, not Puka's thing, but, we're going to see, like.
Good news. Good news for Puka owners, though. It looks like he's coming out of the bye fine. So,
I mean, that's 2 things to just, I don't root for injuries. I just think it's bad karma. But Stafford got to stay healthy rest of the season. And the tremendous workload of CMC, a guy that hasn't finished, the season 3 out of the last 5 years. And I don't blame San Francisco. They need to basically rely on this guy and just use him up as much as possible.
All right, good question.
Dan, you want to read that?
Yeah. Do we think next year people react aggressively to running backs early? In other words, we've, as Nick stated, 0 running back strategy is getting crushed this year, and I think that's for the most part that's pretty fair.
Not necessarily, but I don't think.
Not like always. There are definitely paths you can get, but I mean the early running backs. There have been some really good ones. Like like, for example, McCaffrey and Taylor. And, it's easier to run through the earlier running backs this year than it has been a lot of years. So
I agree the running backs will continue to dominate, but like Nelson said, you could have started with an Amon-Ra in the first round or a Puka, and you could have got a JT or a CMC in the second round. So, and then went wide receiver heavy or something like that. It depends. I mean, at zero running back, I think very few people go zero running back for the first 7 rounds, which is true zero.
But to answer the listener's question, yeah, I do see that happening next year. I think the first round will have more running backs in it than wide receivers. Mm-hmm. That's what I think he's asking. Whereas fantasy for the last 5 years, at least, right, guys, has been a wide receiver league. Okay, mm-hmm. We've all been wide receiver whores now for a half a decade. Okay, slowly started to turn a little bit where now we had that year, 3-4 years ago, where the first round was 11 receivers and 1 running back, or 10 and 2. Okay, I think next year you're going to see at least 6, 7, 8. Oh my God, I did it again. Holy shit.
6,
7, 8. Didn't even mean to.
But didn't that happen this year? We saw the trend. We had at least 6 running backs.
Well, you had Bijan,
Barkley, CMC was pretty much first rounder the whole time.
Gentry
was a borderline first rounder at worst.
It was split. So, yeah, you're right.
Then you had the tight ends. It depends on FFPC versus NFL.
No. Yeah, but for the most part, FFPC aside, it was split. Yeah.
I think that, and I think this is just reaffirming it for next year.
I think you might see 7 or 8 running backs in the first round.
Chris.
Yeah, you could, James Cook is probably going to vault up there, I would think.
And somebody put a comment that James Cook doesn't have a reception in the month of October. And he's still crushing.
It doesn't matter when you don't throw the ball.
I mean, that was my whole process of why I thought he was kind of a pretty good fade. Was okay, he's not scoring 16 touchdowns again. That ain't happening. And he's not part of the passing game, so something's got to give. And,
I didn't think the Bills had to pay him. I wanted them to pay him, but not an exorbitant amount. I was thinking, but he's definitely a game changer for that offense. He has that speed that just makes it so much better.
Some really nice games here, week 9 after the week 8. Week 8 sucked game wise. Everything was boring to me, but. We got some really nice games here starting Thursday night. Baltimore, Miami should see a lot of points, I think. Chicago, Cincinnati, possibility. Minnesota, Detroit. You got Indy and Pittsburgh playing each other. You got Kansas City, Buffalo matchup with Mahomes versus Allen. And then the Monday nighter with any time Dallas plays a team that can, maybe produce something. Dallas, Arizona. So there's some good games I'm excited about for week 9 here, and we're only got 2 shit teams and 2 decent teams on a bye. So
I just think Baltimore is just gonna, I don't think that's gonna be a game. I think Miami shot their load. I think the defense is getting better, and if Lamar plays, I think this is this is the march forward. We were 1-5. We're gonna win this division. I mean, who's betting on them not to win that division?
No, but I bet Baltimore last week to win the AFC North at decent plus money, and I bet them to win the AFC overall. And I think Baltimore is about to go on an epic run here. Their schedule is easy. They're going to wind up winning 10 or 11 games. Maybe they win the North and they get a home game. And then I think they're right there with these other teams once Lamar is healthy.
I don't see how they don't win the North.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's still the odds-on favorite to win the North. I just
now they are after this past week. They became
and the Steelers' schedule gets a lot tougher, and they're not a really good team at all.
No.
Right. Yep.
All right. Anything else, guys?
All good here.
All good in the hood.
All right. Well.
You gonna take a shower, Dan?
That's about
another one in the book. Dan's over there giving golden showers.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining with us this week. We really appreciate it. We always love the feedback. So please hit that like button. Leave us a comment on whatever format you're viewing us on. Give us a review. Any of that, we definitely appreciate it. And good luck to everybody in the Empire this week. We will see you all.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.